University of Toledo welcomed 176 new students onto their College of Medicine and Life Sciences this morning by holding a white coat ceremony. Of that number, we're told 37 are prior UT grads. The white coat ceremonies have been widely embraced as a rite of passage for incoming medical students across the United States. We're told UT received more than 6,300 medical school applications this year. The students are from 21 different states, with 24% of the new class from Northwest Ohio.
Hi everyone, my name is Aliu Olalikon Olatunji. This journey hasn't always been easy, but it's been incredibly rewarding for me. I am especially grateful for the friendship, mentorship, and support that carried me through the program. My special appreciation to my mentor, Dr. Randy Watts. These are memories I will carry for life. Thank you all for being part of the story. Thank you, Department of Medical Microbiology and Immunology. Thank you, College of Medicine and Life Science. Thank you, University of Toledo.
The wait is over for University of Toledo medical students. Today, one envelope holds the answer to a question they've carried for years. Where next? It's match day, when they learn where they'll spend residency. And as 13 Action News anchor Alexandria Manthe shows us, it's a tearful, joyful moment of these soon-to-be doctors we'll never forget.
Every year, both students and residency programs submit their rank list. Then the National Resident Matching Program pairs applicants with their program, and it's all kept a secret until the big day.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's the countdown that decides their future.
Perhaps the most important day along with their graduation, because this is the day they find out where they'll spend the next 3 to 6 years of their training.
Hundreds of UToledo medical students, along with their families, packed into the Stranahan, anxiously awaiting the moment they'd open their gold envelope. Among the crowd is Christina White, a fourth-year student with dreams of becoming an OBGYN. As the clock was ticking,
All I had was excitement and butterflies. I was like, I just hope that I don't throw up.
but the moment she opened her letter,
Oh my gosh.
White tells me her nerves vanished.
I'm going to Case Western!
And the feeling of accomplishment set in,
It's been a very emotional day in the best way.
knowing her hard work paid off. And the next 4 years would be dedicated to her craft.
I've always loved the ability to connect with patients in really vulnerable moments. And I think, going through the birth process, but also all the times of being a woman and growing older are really, really special. And being able to connect to women in that way and further the mission of improving women's health within Ohio is really important to me.
Case Western was one of her top choices, and it's just a few hours away from her hometown of Xenia, which is near Dayton.
I'm going to have, the support of my family not too far from me, and I'm really excited to be able to make a difference in the state that I've called home for a long time.
Her grandma, mom, and sister standing by her side on match day made it all worth it.
These are the women that have raised me and honestly had a big hand in me becoming an OBGYN, so I'm just really excited to share this with them.
An entire class sharing this special moment to celebrate their bright futures ahead.
I came into medical school not knowing what I want to match into, and today I matched into otolaryngology at MCW.
At the end of my third year, I realized I wanted to go into family med, and that's where I ended up matching.
When I first started med school, I thought I wanted to do either internal medicine or general surgery, but I ended up matching into pediatrics.
I thought maybe orthopedics or anesthesia or internal medicine. Ended up matching internal medicine at the Mayo Clinic. So I'm super happy.
I went into med school wanting to do pediatrics, and I matched in pediatrics at University of Louisville.
I went into medical school thinking I would do neurology, but I matched PM&R at Louisville.
I fell in love with surgery, and I matched plastic surgery today, so I'm very excited. Woo! At Michigan!
Thought I wanted to do surgery or maybe urology, and I matched into urology at The Ohio State University.
Thought I wanted to do surgery or OB-GYN, and I matched into urology.
Going into medical school, I wanted to match in emergency medicine, and I matched in anesthesiology.
My time at UToledo has shaped me in so many ways, both personally and professionally. I'm so thankful to everyone, especially my mentors and friends and family, who's been part of my journey here at the University of Toledo. With that, congrats to the class of 2026 and go Rockets!
Good afternoon. Everyone, please stand for the presentation of colors and for the national anthem. Everyone, please be seated. Thank you for the presentation of colors by the University of Toledo Rocket Battalion and performance of a national anthem by Glass City Brass. On behalf of the faculty and staff at the University of Toledo College of Medicine and Life Sciences, I'm honored to preside over today's commencement exercises. It is with great pleasure that I welcome the graduates, the families, friends, to the graduation of the class of 2026 College of Medicine and Life Sciences. All of us here are today to recognize their achievements. Would all the members of the University of Toledo College of Medicine and Life Sciences class of 2026 please stand and be recognized. Thank you, and congratulations. You may be seated. These soon-to-be doctors, very soon-to-be doctors, have done remarkable things in science, education, and patient care. Some, through diligent and sustained effort in the lab, have presented their scientific accomplishments in prestigious national meetings and have published in nationally recognized journals. Other students have tutored their peers, students in other programs, or volunteered with school children in our neighborhoods. College of Medicine and Life Sciences students contribute thousands of hours of peer tutoring and community support, creating a culture of collaboration and service. Our students have also learned to care and have cared for others, both locally and around the world. These students before you have volunteered countless hours at the community care clinics, the largest of its kind free clinic in the nation. We have seen them working long hours in the clinic, the operating room, and the patient's bedside, both here in Toledo and globally in medical missions. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit before you that they're extremely well prepared to take on the challenge of the world that needs talented, hardworking and skilled professionals who will discover solutions to the world's needs through research, by educating others, and providing care to all. To further their training, many of our graduates who will soon transition into residency programs, postdoctoral training laboratories, educational institutions, hospitals, industry, and governmental agencies, including the armed forces locally and throughout our nation. They will be joining our alumni who are prominent teachers, clinicians, scientists, and administrators in the world of medicine and science in America and all throughout the world. A hallmark of our graduates is not only their competence, but their compassion and empathy for others. Our graduates are recognized all over the world and throughout our institution and have earned respect of others based on these successes. Graduates, before you leave today to take on the challenges of medicine, I would like to leave you with a few pertinent reminders. Always, always put your patients first. You have the greatest privilege and an incredible opportunity to positively impact the life of others when they're most vulnerable. Your competence, your empathy, and professionalism will always be a great source of solace to those in need. Treat everyone with equal respect. Even in the darkest of times, maintain your integrity and values, and this will be a firewall against bitterness and burnout. Finally, take care of yourselves, and especially those who you love and who love you back. Many individuals whose efforts have made us a successful institution, of which we are so proud of, are here with us today. The University of Toledo has had tremendous support from our Board of Trustees, and it is my pleasure to recognize the Provost, Dr. Mitchell McKinney, and board members, Ms. Lydia Ebersole and Dr. Eleanor Awadala, who are with us today. Will you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Thank you for your support, not only of the university, but of the College of Medicine and Life Sciences. And a special thank you to Dr. Awadala, who will be conferring the degrees awarded today. I would also like to extend a very warm welcome to our honorary degree recipient and today's commencement speaker, Dr. David Scorton. Dr. Scorton, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Thank you for being with us today and imparting your wisdom to our graduates and to all of us. One of the main reasons for the success of the College of Medicine and Life Sciences is the contribution of our academic and clinical affiliates. From our own hospital, the University of Toledo Medical Center, our local partner ProMedica, which extends throughout Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan, to our other global and regional affiliates, these institutions and preceptors willingly and selflessly accept our students into training and at the same time do an excellent job of educating us all. Thank you all for your support and the essential collaboration you provide in the education of our students. We are deeply indebted to you. I would also like to recognize faculty members and leadership in the college and hospital, and please ask them to stand and be recognized for their contribution to the education of our graduates. So will the faculty members and the leadership team of the College of Medicine please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Special recognition to Dr. Jill Madsen, President of the College of Medicine and Life Sciences Faculty Council, who is the Grand Marshal for the processional for today's ceremony. Thank you. Graduation is truly a team sport. I would also like to ask the individuals, the faculty, staff, students, and volunteers who have worked to plan today's commencement exercise to stand and be recognized. Finally, I would also like to take a moment on this special day to recognize yet one more group of special heroes, perhaps unsung heroes, without whom this day would not have been possible. A group of individuals who work selflessly to provide cheer and support, to offer counsel, and to be just there when needed at the moment of joy or perhaps sadness. Would the parents, spouses, partners, and children of the graduates please stand to be recognized? Thanks and congratulations to all of you as well. It is now my pleasure to ask our Provost, Dr. Mitchell McKinney, to come to the podium to provide a greeting from the university.
Thank you, Dean Ali. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining us today to celebrate our class of 2026. We're very thankful to have so many excited graduates, proud parents, family members, friends, and dedicated faculty and staff who've joined us here today, even those tuning in virtually, to make this a celebration to remember for all of our graduates. Graduates, today marks a major milestone, one that your families, our faculty have long awaited. It's a day to celebrate a personal achievement, the rewards of much studying, and the many opportunities that your degree from the University of Toledo College of Medicine and Life Sciences brings. I want to thank our graduates for choosing UToledo to help prepare you for success. We're honored to share this celebration with you and your loved ones. We're very proud of your successes to date, and we look forward to your future accomplishments. I want to recognize the faculty, advisors, staff, and mentors who've supported the achievements we celebrate today. Thank you for your unwavering dedication to our students, your wisdom, your real-world patient care experience, and your ongoing pursuit of innovative research that are all critical components in ensuring University of Toledo students reach their full potential. I'd like to specifically thank Dean Ali, who has served as a member of the faculty since 1996 and holds the prestigious title of Dean of the College of Medicine and Life Sciences. We appreciate your leadership. You're not only a dedicated clinician, teacher, medical researcher, but you are a trusted colleague, an advocate for your faculty, and a passionate supporter of all of our medical students. Thank you, Dean Ali. I would also like to take a moment to recognize all of the integral people in the support systems of our graduates, whether they are your parents and friends, a spouse or partner, children, siblings, or grandparents. To all the individuals who have supported you, I want to say thank you. Thank you for reaching out to your graduate to offer advice, to cheer them on when times were most difficult, for listening when they needed encouragement, and for being a part of the journey that has led them here today. And again, to our graduates, congratulations as you move forward, ready to tackle your next adventure, and our newest UToledo alums, please know that all of us in Rocket Nation are supporting your success. As a UToledo graduate, you are part of a network of more than 176,000 proud alumni around the world, helping to fulfill our mission of improving the human condition. So wherever life takes you, know that you are always welcomed home to your University of Toledo. Trust and believe in yourselves. You are ready for this next chapter, and we cannot wait to see what you achieve. Congratulations, and go Rockets.
Thank you, Provost McKinney. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Sharon Thomas, President of the University of Toledo College of Medicine Life Sciences Alumni Affiliate. Dr. Thomas is a graduate of the University of Toledo College of Medicine, class of 2010, Pediatric Residency 2013. She completed her Critical Care Medicine Fellowship at Loma Linda Children's Hospital in 2016. She returned to Toledo to join the Pediatric Intensivist Group at ProMedica, Russell J. Ebi Children's Hospital, and pediatric faculty here at University of Toledo. She's a clinical associate professor of pediatrics involved in both undergraduate and graduate medical education, especially in her role as program director for the Pediatric Residency Program. She is an active member of multiple professional and community organizations and is not only an excellent educator, but also a tireless advocate for UT and its student. Dr. Thomas.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the privilege to speak on behalf of the University of Toledo College of Medicine and Life Sciences Alumni Affiliate. We extend our congratulations to all of the graduates and to the individuals who have helped you reach this milestone. We are also excited to welcome all of today's graduates as the newest members of our alumni affiliate. Alumni are among an institution's most precious assets, and you are joining the ranks of over 9,000 alumni from the University of Toledo College of Medicine and Life Sciences who are making a difference in communities across the country and around the world. Medicine is dynamic, and you will encounter challenges which you are well prepared to face. You will have opportunities to utilize advances in science to save people's lives and improve community health. You will be able to leverage and improve technology to enhance how we prevent disease and ultimately treat people better. You will identify and address health disparities in individual practice and the larger systems as we work toward optimal health for all. Our affiliate members have witnessed your passion and compassion. You will not be able to heal every patient, and sometimes our profession can be overwhelming. But let me encourage you to remember why you came to medical school. Let the desire to improve the human condition be your beacon when practicing medicine is hard. As leaders in the healing profession, you recognize that caring for people is a team effort. Be kind to your patients, your staff, your colleagues, your families, and importantly, yourselves. Today, the College of Medicine and Life Sciences Alumni Affiliate is pleased to present each of our graduates with a gift. Each of the graduating physicians will receive a stethoscope. The graduating doctoral candidates will receive a hand-blown glass paperweight produced right here in Toledo, the glass capital of the world. Master's degree candidates will receive a custom padfolio. In addition, all of you graduating today will receive a complimentary one-year membership to the University of Toledo Alumni Association. In closing, the alumni of the College of Medicine and Life Sciences applaud you for all you have achieved and look forward to all that you will achieve in the future. You make us proud. The University of Toledo Alumni Association and the College of Medicine and Life Sciences Alumni Affiliate look forward to developing a lifelong relationship with you and will continue to support you throughout your career. Godspeed and congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. One of the traditions of commencement is the awarding of the honorary degree in recognition of person or persons for outstanding contribution to the profession and to society as a whole. Today, we have the honor of bestowing an honorary degree to a distinguished individual who has made a remarkable contribution to the health of our country. Provost McKinney, Dr. Eleanor Awadala, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you Dr. David Skorton. Dr. Skorton is President and CEO of the AAMC, the Association of American Medical Colleges, a not-for-profit association that represents medical schools, academic health systems, and teaching hospitals, as well as academic societies. He began his leadership of the AAMC in July 2019 after a distinguished career in government, higher education, and medicine. Shortly after his arrival, Dr. Skorton oversaw a comprehensive strategic planning process that established a new mission and vision for the AAMC. It also introduced well-defined action plans to align the AAMC's organizational resources to tackle the most intractable challenges in health. The strategic plan guides the AAMC in leading and serving medical schools and academic health systems around the mission of education, clinical care, research, and community collaboration. Dr. Skorton's main focus has been on improving health of people everywhere, including access to care for all. Prior to the AAMC, Dr. Skorton served as the 13th Secretary of the Smithsonian Institute, where he oversaw 19 museums, 21 libraries, the National Zoo, and numerous research centers and education programs. Before that, he served as president of 2 universities, Cornell, 2003 to 2006, 2006 to 2015, and University of Iowa, 2003 to 2006, where he also served on the faculty for 26 years and co-founded and co-directed the University of Iowa Adolescent and Adult Congenital Heart Disease Clinic. A pioneer of cardiac imaging and computer processing techniques, he was a contributor and editor-in-chief of a major text on cardiac imaging. Dr. Skorton earned his BA from Northwestern University and his MD from Northwestern University School of Medicine. He completed his medical residency and fellowship in cardiology and was chief medical resident at UCLA. During these challenging times for academic medicine, Dr. Skorton's calm leadership has been a pillar of strength for all of us, and especially for University of Toledo College of Medicine leadership. Dr. Awadallah, it is now my distinct honor to present to you Dr. David Skorton for an honorary degree.
Thank you, Dr. Ali, for doing all the hard work so I can do, as a trustee, the easy and fun part. Dr. Skorton, we are honored to have you here today. Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the state of Ohio and as a trustee of the University of Toledo, I hereby confer upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa, in recognition of your outstanding contributions and service to humanity.
Thank you very much for that extraordinary honor. The class of 2026, I am your fellow alum. How cool is that, huh? Oh, really, really great. Well, as we younger folks say, you rock. And I hope I can say that. Go Rockets! In fact, let's take a little picture together before they throw me off stage. Yeah, let's just do this. Real quick here, take a second. Be sure to smile. Smile. Nice job. Well, I did a lot of research on your school and learned an interesting story as I was preparing to celebrate with you today about how that Rockets nickname came about. Maybe the graduates and staff already know it, but for visitors and others who may not know, it started with a U of Toledo football game over a century ago in 1923. I was there. It was a breezy day, much like today. It was a doozy. The team lost to Carnegie Tech with a depressing final score of 31-12. That day, a student in the press box was asked to create a team nickname right on the spot. So naturally, ignoring the scoreboard, he named the team the Sky Rockets. Why such an optimistic name for a team that had suffered a distinct loss? Well, they had pushed hard against a much stronger team, and he had high hopes for its future. And that lesson seemed to me perfect for a commencement message. Out of challenge and setbacks arise perseverance, resilience, hope, and achievement. With the support of the entire University of Toledo community, including your families, friends, faculty, staff, and with a special shout out to Dean Ali, Provost Mitchell, and in absentia President Holloway, you, the class of 2026, have learned many lessons about what it takes to thrive during your years here. As you launch into the many possibilities ahead, I hope you'll carry that rocket mindset forward throughout your careers, even when you encounter turbulence, and you will at times. From my vantage point after more than 50 years in medicine, I can't promise you it will always be an easy road. I can promise you it will not always be an easy road. Medicine has always faced sobering challenges and is grappling with some big questions today, like how to earn trust, how to address workforce shortages, how to ameliorate health disparities, and incorporate, for example, AI ethically and effectively. Not to mention, you will personally face the intellectual and emotional challenge of a life in medicine. But I'm confident that you're ready. I believe that because here at U of Toledo, amid so many dedicated people at this distinguished institution, you've learned to stay rooted in your core values and principles, all while launching ahead, or skyrocketing, if you'll forgive me. I want to briefly share 3 examples of what I'm talking about. First, you've already shown your commitment to your communities. Nearly 40% of the class of 2026 is staying in Ohio as you launch forward, just as more than 2/3 of you originally came from the Buckeye State. U of Toledo has been a leader in med ed for more than 40 years, but what you learned here wasn't just on campus. Dina Lee tells me that most of you had the opportunity to volunteer in student-run community care clinics, truly listening to and learning from the experiences of underserved populations here in Toledo. I had a similar experience in Chicago many years ago, and it stayed with me to this day. That is a terrific example of the first lesson today. Your local community can help you stay rooted in what matters and what will be your ongoing teachers. That's true not just in Ohio, but anywhere you go. Listen with humility to what the community members say, even if it's not what you expected to hear. I have learned so much in that way throughout my career. And your participation in rural and area health education also taught you something else: how to work together with purpose, focused on one goal, helping those most in need. That's just like that student in the press box over 100 years ago, who celebrated the energy of the teamwork that ignited hope despite challenges. And I know that even with a great team, it was not always easy. Perhaps some of you might even have felt a touch of imposter syndrome about your own abilities. That's common in the medical profession. I have felt imposter syndrome at numerous points during my own career. But I encourage you to stay rooted in your personal, genuine connections with your communities and your teammates and the world around you. Wherever you land, be open to what your community has to teach you. Second, throughout your time here, you've had tremendous opportunities to collaborate across academic disciplines, learning from fresh and different perspectives. That is the second lesson I hope you'll carry forward. Stay rooted in that multidisciplinary mindset. In your community care clinics, for example, med students work closely with those studying pharmacy, nursing, among others, learning from what each profession contributes. As Dr. Ali said, medicine is a team sport, and your education also integrated research with clinical care through the ProMedica Health System and the University of Toledo Medical Center. I was especially impressed to learn about the Interprofessional Immersive Simulation Center right here on campus, which reinforces the value of interdisciplinary teamwork and collaboration. Additionally, some of you may have participated in the University of Toledo Medical Humanities Club, which is really close to my heart. I initially had dreams of becoming a professional musician until I found out I did not have what it took to make it. But I'm not bitter, I got over it. But music remains an important part of my life, and I believe we can learn as much from the arts and humanities as from the sciences. They are branches from the same tree. That's an Einstein quote in the title of a National Academies study that I participated on. Exposure to the arts and humanities can indeed help improve one's skills in critical thinking and observation and empathy, all essential to medicine. And throughout your career, I hope you'll proactively seek out different perspectives from the arts, from the humanities, and beyond, and be open to learning from different disciplines. In the words of the late Zen monk Shunryu Suzuki, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. Keep your mind open to all possibilities and stay grounded in the interdisciplinary principles you have learned here. On to the final way to stay rooted in your principles as you launch. And it's one I keep coming back to myself every day, and that is passion. You've worked incredibly hard to get here, and if you're like me, you are motivated to heal, to improve health, and ultimately to make the world better and more just. The mission of the AAMC is to improve the health of people everywhere. Medicine, in my experience of 50 years, is one of the most challenging and, yes, most rewarding careers there is. Keep your purpose and passion top of mind, even on the toughest days. Hold close to those personal, emotional reasons that motivate you. Can you hear me okay? All right. Do you want to hear me okay? All right. I'm told that the graduates voted on the language you will use today that aligns with the Hippocratic Oath used by many in the medical profession. That means you're already personally invested in those words and what they stand for. But I want to especially highlight one central tenet of the oath, which is common across oaths used at many institutions. Today you will pledge to exercise your art solely for the cure of your patients and the prevention of disease. That is your reminder that your patients are why you are all here today. In all you do, please keep that promise close to your heart. And I want to also focus for a moment, very importantly, that it is equally important for you to care for your own health, physical and mental, and your own well-being, and to look out for each other. Asking for help when needed is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. I have personally sought help from counseling at points during my career, and I urge all of you to do so if and whenever you need it. And keep supporting each other, as I know this class already does so well. I even heard that some of you participated in three-legged sack races during the Learning Pods field day. How's that for literally holding each other up? Dr. Ali and I were going to do that this morning, but we didn't want any injuries on commencement day. Remember, as you launch toward new possibilities ahead, your people will help lift you up. To put the task ahead of you in context, in 1923, the first liquid-fueled rockets had not yet been launched. Those students could soar, but not nearly as high as the possibilities before you today. The class of 26 can rise higher, and you will, propelled by your knowledge, grounded in purpose. I cannot wait to see where you will go. Go get them, congratulations, and go Rockets!
Thank you. We will now begin the presentation of candidates for degrees and certificates. Dr. Candace Williams, Senior Associate Dean for College of Medicine and Life Sciences, Graduate and Undergraduate Programs, and Dr. Randall Wirth, Senior Associate Dean for Student Affairs and Admissions, will present the degrees for the University of Toledo College of Medicine and Life Sciences, Class of 2026. Dr. Eleanor Awadala, University of Toledo Trustee, who will then confer the degrees. Each graduate, starting with the recipients of graduate degrees and certificates, will be invited to come forward to the stage on my left, After graduates receive their diploma cases, and congratulations, you're asked to return to your seat and be seated. Dr. Williams and Dr. Worth.
Will all the candidates for graduate degrees please stand and remain standing? It is my great pleasure to present the candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy in Biomedical Science and Master of Science in Biomedical Sciences.
Will all the candidates for medical degrees please stand and remain standing? It's my great pleasure to present the candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Medicine and other combined degrees.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the state of Ohio, and as a trustee of the University of Toledo, I do confer upon all of the qualified candidates, including those in absentia, the degrees for which they have met the requirements. You are charged with the duties and responsibilities of that degree and granted the privileges and prerogatives appertaining thereto and obligations of the duties and responsibilities of the profession. Now, the hard part. The doctoral graduates may now move their tassels from the back left of their motorboards to the front left side. The master's graduates may now move their tassels from the back right of their motorboards to the back left side of their motorboards. Congratulations.
Medical degree graduates may be seated. Dr. Ali, faculty, parents, and guests, the College of Graduate Studies at the University of Toledo enjoys a tradition of excellence in 35 doctoral programs, 81 master's programs, and 51 graduate certificates in 9 colleges across the university. Today, 33 students will be graduating from 6 different graduate programs in the College of Medicine and Life Sciences. The recipients for the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy in Biomedical Science and Master of Science in Biomedical Sciences will have their hoods placed by Dr. Ivana de la Serna, Professor of the Department of Cell and Cancer Biology, or Dr. Nicole Dominiak, Associate Professor of Pathology, or their own designated hooder. Would the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Biomedical Science please come forward to be hooded, recognized, and receive congratulations?
Dr. Jaya Bandari, hooded by Dr. Candace Williams. Dr. Ali Sajid Imami. Dr. Hema Srish Kumar. Dr. Dipesh Pokharel. Dr. Emma Elizabeth Sabu Katuman, hooded by Dr. Salaja Parchuri. Dr. Christopher Daniel Vento, hooded by Dr. Elisar Andari. Dr. Aliu Olalekan Olatunji, hooded by Dr. Randall Worth.
Please join me in congratulating these newly minted PhDs. The Master of Science in Biomedical Sciences program in the College of Medicine and Life Sciences currently offers advanced study in 14 different areas of concentration. Would the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Biomedical Sciences please come forward to be hooded, recognized, and receive congratulations.
Samuel Aberbook. Arhana Iman Ahmed. Onefuya Ukanye. Melvin Moses Panya. Ashlyn Dillingham. Sarah Ellen Flynn. Jenna Elizabeth Grosdidier. Brianna Hatfield. Kylie Rochelle Hill. Mark Hudson. Kaylee Renee Jerizes. Creighton Lewis. Carson Mann. Rebecca Martin. Annabella Rico. Jennings Brian Rudisill. George Michael Saad. Morgan C. Spooneybarger. Anna Marie Burnett Stiver. Dawson Allen Swicegood. Ashley Vicino.
Please join me in congratulating these master's degree recipients. Dr. Ali, that concludes the presentation of candidates for graduate degrees.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. At this time, I would like to call upon Dr. Emma Elizabeth Sabu-Cotterman to give the graduate student commencement speech. Dr. Sabu-Cotterman is this year's outstanding student in the Doctor of Philosophy in Biomedical Sciences program.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished faculty, proud families, friends, and most importantly, my fellow graduates. Today is a day that many of us imagined for years. Some of us imagined it confidently, and some of us imagined it while staring at a failed experiment at 2 a.m., wondering if this day would ever arrive. Yet, here we are. First, I want to thank the faculty and mentors at the University of Toledo College of Medicine and Life Sciences who guided us, challenged us, and occasionally reminded us that our controls were missing. To our families and friends, thank you for supporting us through years of confusing explanations like, no, my experiment didn't fail, it produced a very interesting negative result. For those who have never lived with a PhD student, let me explain briefly what this journey looks like. A PhD begins with excitement. You think, I'm going to discover something that's going to change the world. Then year 2 arrives. Suddenly you realize research is mostly made of troubleshooting, repeating experiments, staring at graphs, and asking yourself the classic scientific question. Why is this working for everyone, but not for me? At some point along the way, we also become experts in things we never expected. We learn that coffee can replace sleep. Lab freezers contain samples older than some of the graduate students. And the phrase, quick meeting, rarely means quick. But despite the late nights, failed experiments, and endless revisions, something remarkable happens during a PhD. We learn how to think. We learn to question what seems obvious. We learn that progress in science rarely comes from a single brilliant moment. It comes from persistence, from trying again when things don't work the first, second, or the 20th time. And I think that lesson extends far beyond the lab. Today we graduate from the University of Toledo as scientists, physicians, researchers, and innovators. But more importantly, we graduate as people who understand that discovery requires patience, collaboration, and sometimes a healthy amount of stubborn optimism. Our class has studied everything from molecules and cells to entire human systems. We have worked to understand disease, improve therapies, and push the boundaries of knowledge. But the truth is, science is never done alone. Behind every graduate sitting here are mentors such as my amazing mentor, Dr. Shailaja Parchuri, who opened doors, lab mates who helped troubleshoot experiments, families who supported us through uncertainty, and friends who reminded us there is life outside the lab. For me, that support has always been the foundation of everything I've achieved. My father always believed in me, even before I knew how to believe in myself. My mother and my sisters has been my constant source of strength, never once tired of listening to my mock presentations at 2 a.m., even the 10th time, and always encouraging me to keep going. Thank you, Amma, Chechi, and Ichu. And throughout this PhD journey, my husband has been my unwavering support system, whether it was making me coffee in the middle of the night or patiently listening to my frustrations after failed experiments. He reminded me that perseverance is never a solitary effort. I love you, Jake. So today's achievement belongs not only to us, but to everyone who helped us reach this moment. Now, as we move forward into the next stage of our careers, whether it's academia, industry, medicine, or something entirely unexpected, we carry with us the most valuable thing this journey has given us: curiosity. Curiosity is what drives science forward. Curiosity is what pushes us to ask better questions. And curiosity is what reminds us that every challenge is simply an unanswered problem waiting for a solution. The world we are stepping into needs scientists more than ever. It needs people who believe in evidence, people who are willing to challenge assumptions, people who are patient enough to search for truth even when the answer is complicated. And if our PhD training has taught us anything, it's that we are very comfortable working with problems. After all, we all survived reviewer number 2. So today, as we celebrate this milestone, let's also celebrate the journey that brought us here, the perseverance, the friendships, the discoveries, and yes, even the failed experiments that eventually led to success. To my fellow graduates, it has been an honor to walk this journey with you. Congratulations to the class of 2026, and to everyone here today. Thank you for believing in science, in education, and in the people who dedicate their lives to advancing both. Thank you, and go Rockets!
Thank you, Dr. Sabakaraman. At this time, we'll award the degree, the Doctor of Medicine degrees. Dr. Randall Wirth, Senior Associate Dean for Student Affairs and Admissions, will introduce the degree candidates.
Will all the candidates for medical degrees please stand and remain standing? Of the Doctor of Medicine candidates who are graduating today, 5 of the students have completed an additional 1 to 4 years of education at the graduate level and thus will receive a dual MD and graduate certificate. Dr. Bindu Menon, Associate Professor in the Department of Medical Education and Associate Dean for Admissions, and Dr. Cora Mattis, Associate Dean for Foundational Sciences, were selected by the graduating class for the honor of putting the candidates. Students, you may have a seat. The dual MD-PhD program is a rigorous course of study consisting of full medical school preclinical and clinical requirements in addition to graduate study and research in one of 4 interdisciplinary tracks aligned with disease processes. I will now introduce the recipient of the degree of Doctor of Medicine and Doctor of Philosophy in Biomedical Sciences. Dr. Justin Franco. The MD-MBA program is a 5-year program offered in partnership with the College of Medicine and Life Sciences and the College of Business and Innovation. The integrated MD-MBA curriculum is designed to train physicians who are committed to becoming lifelong leaders in medicine and healthcare administration. I will now introduce the recipient of the dual degrees of Doctor of Medicine and Master of Business Administration, Dr. Amisha Y. Tutwiler. The University of Toledo offers a competitive year-long fellowship program in pathology between the 2nd and 3rd years of medical school, in which students take courses leading to the graduate certificate in pathology, while also completing clinical training in anatomical, clinical, and forensic pathology, and teaching pathology to medical students. I will now announce the recipient of the dual Doctor of Medicine degree and a graduate certificate in pathology. Dr. Sarah A. Jagannath, hooded by Dr. Wainwright Jagannath. Congratulations to our dual degree graduates. The next step in the path that medical students, graduates, must take to practice medicine in the United States is entering an accredited residency program, which is known as graduate medical education. As detailed on the Commencement website, the graduates have chosen to pursue the residency in medical specialties across the country. Some of the MD graduates will be pursuing specialized research fellowships prior to entering the residency training. Would the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Medicine please come forward to be hooded, recognized, and receive congratulations? Audience, I ask you to please hold your applause until all the graduates have been hooded, and then we'll have a big congratulations for all. Dr. Nora C. Abdul Aziz. Dr. Omar Ben Abdul Aziz. Dr. Noor Ali Abdul Hamid, hooded by Dr. Ali Al-Husseini. Dr. Aditya Acharya. Dr. Charles Talbert Adair, Jr. Dr. Charles Hilker Adams. Dr. Seth Daniel Adams. Dr. Zayalesi Wynn Addison. Dr. Fatima Aftab, hooded by Dr. Suhail Aftab. Dr. Tricia Blair Aho. Dr. Catherine Almengo, hooded by Dr. Kiara Butler. Dr. Isaac A. Arefi. Dr. Brianna Nicole Bailey, hooded by Dr. Sharon Thomas. Dr. Claire Elizabeth Barker, hooded by Dr. Caitlin Thomas. Dr. Stuart A. Besley, hooded by Dr. Michael Besley. Oh, jeez. Dr. Sachi Badi, hooded by Dr. Sonia Badi. Dr. Lord Bochi, hooded by Dr. Kimberly Jenkins. Dr. Sarah Marie Bond, hooded by Dr. John Bond. Dr. Daniel A. Branch. Dr. Kayla Marie Brown. Dr. Anna Lorene Buchholz-Schmieder. Dr. Nicholas Bunda. Dr. Megan E. Bush. Dr. Jonathan Allen Carlson. Dr. Srila Hindavi Chatalavada, hooded by Dr. Rajagopal Chatalavada. Dr. Sharad Chandra. Dr. Yoon Jung Chang, hooded by Dr. Victoria Kim. Dr. Jacob Emerson Chintagata, hooded by Dr. Dinesh Chintagata. Dr. Caitlin Hannah Cole, hooded by Mr. Kenneth Cole. Dr. Bridget Crawley. Dr. Kelly Ann Cursillo, hooded by Dr. Bobby Jean Wood. Dr. Alyssa M. Davis, hooded by Dr. Brandon M. Davis. Dr. Sydney Kathleen Davis. Dr. Neil Dial, hooded by Dr. Satya Barmoda. Dr. Bryce M. DeLong, hooded by Dr. Lori Gottwald. Dr. Isaac A. DeMoss, hooded by Dr. Lucy DeMoss. Dr. Swetha Desai, hooded by Dr. Abe Anand. Dr. Dominique Giovanna Di Giacomo, hooded by Dr. Gabrielle Notor Giacomo. Dr. Summer Dries, hooded by Dr. Grace Burkett. Dr. Samuel Colin Dunseith. Dr. Sophia Francesca Jochi, hooded by Dr. Gabrielle Davis. Dr. Britta J. Eldridge, hooded by Dr. W. Craig Eldridge. Dr. Catherine L. Esser, hooded by Dr. Alicia Esser. Dr. Hashir Fahim. Dr. Alan Michael Fahori, hooded by Dr. Rania Fahori. Dr. Neil Chase Farmer, hooded by Dr. Elizabeth Farmer. Dr. Andrew M. Fickert, hooded by Dr. Jody Wyman. Dr. Matthew James Folkman. Dr. Matthew G. Galanka, hooded by Dr. Gregory Galanka. Dr. Patrick Terrence Gorman, hooded by Dr. Warren Tipton. Dr. Felix Guan Griffin. Dr. Safa Habib, hooded by Dr. Hafsa Habib. Dr. Samuel Halterman, hooded by Dr. Andrew Halterman. Dr. Christian Harris. Dr. Merrick James Harris, hooded by Dr. Micah Harris. Dr. Alexander Hasselbach, hooded by Dr. Nina Hasselbach. Dr. Benjamin Edward Heck, hooded by Dr. Bruce Heck. Dr. Alexander Hyde. Dr. Elizabeth Jean Heminger. Dr. Sarah Elizabeth Hessel, hooded by Dr. Jason Henry Hessel. Dr. Taryn F. Hibschman. Dr. Matthew K. Holt, hooded by Dr. Mark Holt. Dr. Brandon A. Horn. Dr. Chadwick W. Huss, hooded by Dr. Ilusha Gautam Huss. Dr. Makoto Ibaraki, hooded by Dr. Deepa Mukundan. Dr. Priya Jindal, hooded by Dr. Richard Pat. Dr. Tiffany Ann Johnson, hooded by Dr. Howard Melvin. Dr. Jasmine Nicole Jones. Dr. Angie Marina Kamel, hooded by Dr. Sonia Gerges. Dr. Louis Kamal Abusala. Dr. Anish Kuthula, hooded by Dr. Satish Kuthula. Dr. Bhavneet Kaur, hooded by Dr. Darpan Kaur. Dr. Sarah Cosme, hooded by Dr. Alamdar Cosme. Dr. Julia Marie Keating. Dr. Reese Calvin Kendall. Dr. Ahmed Shihab Khalil. Dr. Bella Z. Khatib Shahidi, hooded by Dr. David Kennedy. Dr. Gabriel Clear. Dr. Benjamin R. Klein, hooded by Dr. Randall Worth. Dr. Leah Renee Knox, hooded by Dr. Philip Calhoun. Dr. Rachel Coe, hooded by Dr. Patricia Coe. Dr. Ethan David Costco, hooded by Dr. Rashid Abdu. Dr. Matthew Kunas. Dr. Shika Lukani, hooded by Dr. Sanjay Lakani. Dr. Gabriella Noel Laperga, hooded by Dr. John Laperga. Dr. Eric Michael Lassiter, hooded by Dr. Randall Worth. Dr. Jonathan Lee. Dr. Charlotte Savoy Lennox, hooded by Mr. Greg Henschel. Dr. Rosalind Leo. Dr. Vito M. Lucarelli, hooded by Dr. Kevin Renard. Dr. Musa B. Lugmani, hooded by Dr. Naeem Lugmani. Dr. Serena Ann Mag, hooded by Dr. Brooke Mag. Dr. Amolya Meralapudi, hooded by Dr. Prabhu Sasakan. Dr. Aidan James Maxwell. Dr. Johnny McEwen. Dr. Maya E. Mendonça, hooded by Dr. Lauren Mendonça. Dr. Zachary J. Mills. Dr. Brandon D. Mount. Dr. Rayan Musin. Dr. Julia Lynn Mumper. Dr. Nithara Murthy, hooded by Dr. Ramesh Murthy. Dr. A.J. Nair, hooded by Dr. Jaeyoung Liu. Dr. Kirthi Nalluri, hooded by Dr. Deeptha Nalluri Constance. Dr. Swamroot B. Nandwani. Dr. Cassandra Nathan, hooded by Dr. Howard Nathan. Dr. Tu Nguyen, hooded by Dr. Kanin Nguyen. Dr. Amaya N. Okogeri, hooded by Ms. Chinya Okogeri. Dr. Deborah Tomilio Opeke, hooded by Dr. John Adewale. Dr. Matthew Orchard, hooded by Dr. Emily Demert. Dr. Drew A. Pariseau, hooded by Dr. Richard Pat. Dr. Serena Patel. Dr. Paola Pedraza Cruz, hooded by Dr. Richard Pat. Dr. Tessa A. Phillips, hooded by Dr. Susan Racy. Dr. Sarah Catherine Porter, hooded by Dr. Robert Porter. Dr. Hassan Zafar Qureshi, hooded by Dr. Zafar Ali Qureshi. Dr. Anya Rablenovich, hooded by Dr. Stanley Tao. Dr. Roshan Ramesh. Dr. Shivani Rana, hooded by Dr. Ganwar Rana. Dr. Sarah Miriam Razoki, hooded by Dr. Banan Razoki. Dr. Elizabeth Rich, hooded by Dr. Michael Rich. Dr. Emma Gabrielle Rico, hooded by Dr. Alice Rim. Dr. Kathleen Roth. Dr. Oscar Alejandro Salit. Dr. Kylie Saxton. Dr. Kaylee Scarnati. Dr. Nicholas Allen Schaefer. Dr. Elizabeth A. Schumacher, hooded by Dr. Lillian Schumacher. Dr. Emma G. Scott, hooded by Dr. Donald Scott. Dr. Jessica Lane Sedlak. Dr. Connor Seeger. Dr. Shiva Senthilkumar, hooded by Dr. Arvind Senthilkumar. Dr. Anish Sharma, hooded by Dr. David Kennedy. Dr. Juliana Haley Simon, hooded by Dr. Matthew Miller.
Let's go!
Dr. Samuel R. Simpson. Dr. Vincent Michael Smith, hooded by Dr. Kimberly Jenkins. Dr. Eric Southard. Dr. Hannah Starbuck, hooded by Dr. Ann Dorbeck. Dr. Kaylee Martinique Story, hooded by Ms. Kathleen Boyd. Dr. Jameson M. Stout, hooded by Dr. Thomas Barden. Dr. Samuel Alexander Stuckman, hooded by Dr. Jill Cherry. Dr. Paul R. Swigart. Dr. Kyrillos Tadrus, hooded by Father John Seif. Dr. Ricky Otto Tanaka, hooded by Dr. Anna Tanaka. Dr. Christina Elizabeth Tartar, hooded by Dr. Nikki Chan. Dr. Noelle Thompson, hooded by Dr. Kimberly Jenkins. Dr. Rohan Vengal. Dr. Marina Varghese, hooded by Dr. Christina Varghese. Dr. Naveen Viswanathan. Dr. Matthew Weinstein, hooded by Dr. Mark Weinstein. Dr. Erica M. Werner. Dr. Christina Lynn White, hooded by Dr. Richard Pack. Dr. Emma Tova Walensky, hooded by Dr. Susan Ruffley. Dr. Dan Wright, hooded by Dr. Peter Wright. Dr. Sanjana Yarabundi, hooded by Dr. Hari Prasad Vanguru. Dr. Sarah Zanvakili, hooded by Dr. Sarish Zanvakili. Dr. Eric Zhang. Dr. Lisa Ray Zhang, hooded by Dr. Claire Zhang. Dr. Faraz Naveed Zia, hooded by Mr. Naveed Sheikh. Dr. Joshua Trzynski, hooded by Dr. Maria Trzynski.
In order to show their commitment to the profession of medicine, the graduating medical students will now recite a physician's oath. Each year, the graduating class votes for the oath they wish to recite and the classmate they wish to lead the oath. The Doctor of Medicine class of 2026 has selected Dr. Rahun Vengal to lead the recitation of the Oath of Hippocrates. Dr. Vengal, will you please join me in the podium?
Will the MD graduates please stand? Please join me in reciting the Oath of Hippocrates found on the last page of your programs. Upon this day of graduation, as I seek admission to the medical profession, I do solemnly affirm, as did the ancient Greeks, by all that I hold most sacred, that according to my ability and judgment, I will keep this oath and its stipulations. To hold my teachers in this art equal to my own parents and extend to them the respect and gratitude which is their due. I will by precept, lecture, and every other mode of instruction impart a knowledge of the art to my sons and daughters and those of my teachers and to disciples bound by covenant and oath according to the law of medicine. I will follow that system of treatment which according to my ability and judgment I consider for the benefit of my patients and abstain from whatever is deleterious and mischievous. I will exercise my art solely for the cure of my patients and the prevention of disease, and will give no drugs and perform no operations for a criminal purpose, nor far less suggest a thing. With honor and dignity, I will practice my profession, not permitting consideration of religion, nationality, race, or social standing to intervene between duty and my patient. Into whatsoever houses I enter, I will go for the benefit of the sick and will hold myself aloof from every voluntary act of wrongdoing or corruption. Whatever I may see or hear in the lives of men which ought not be spoken abroad, I will not divulge, reckoning that such should be kept secret. While I continue to keep this oath unviolated, may it be granted to me to enjoy life and the practice of the art, respected by all men in all times. But should I trespass and violate this oath, may the reverse be my lot. Please be seated.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have the commissioning of our military graduates performed by Dr. Thomas Soderman, Professor of Medicine and Associate Dean of Student Affairs.
Dean Ali, Dr. Scorton, graduates, family, and guests. At this time, I'd like to call our military graduates to the floor. Come down. Let's see you. Thank you for allowing me to undertake one of my favorite tasks, namely swearing in new members of the Medical Corps. As this is one of the last tasks today and I'm standing between you and the end of graduation, I'll be brief. All of these new doctors you see in front of you have chosen to serve others, taking on the heavy burdens and responsibilities that come with this vocation, and paying the price in terms of time spent studying, taking care of patients, sleepless nights, etc. Some have taken on the additional responsibility of serving their country in the military, with the additional price of the possibility of even more time spent away from families and training, conflicts, and humanitarian missions. Not everything is gloomy, and there are some trade-offs, for example, not having to decide what to wear each day. That's why we call it a uniform. Working with and taking care of truly excellent people around the world, and this is my favorite joke, the opportunity to jump out of perfectly good airplanes with a parachute, which we in the Air Force kind of frown upon. Grads, doctors, always remember that you didn't do this alone. You had family, friends, and each other to support you in getting through school, and they'll be here for you in residency in the rest of your lives. Family and friends, thanks for being there for them. They couldn't have done it without you. Now, without further ado, attention to commissioning. Please raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Soderman. I should say Colonel Soderman. At this time, I would like to call upon Dr. Ajay Nair to give the medical student commencement speech. Dr. Nair was selected by his medical student classmates to deliver the address.
There's no water up here. All right, fellow classmates, faculty, parents, families, anyone else here today. I know what you're thinking, and no, I did not play Superman in the movies. That was Henry Cavill. Both good-looking guys. I know it's an easy mistake, but I get that a lot. It's fine, no worries. When I first got the notification I'm speaking today, I was like, frick, you're lying. There's no way. There's no, but I wondered why I was picked. Maybe it was a mistake. I even lost $10 for this, but it's okay. After the shock went away, though, I realized the great honor I had been given to stand up here today in front of all of you, and a final chance to see your faces before we part ways and give you something to remember. To many of you, I feel like I'm the guy who's always happy, smiling, great time, and this is 100% true. I mean, I love my life. I love it even more than Scooby-Doo, if that says anything. But the truth is, my life, my happiness doesn't come from my life. My life was actually far from happy in the beginning. When I was young, I had a variety of surgeries, each taking away pieces of me. I never got back. I used to get beaten up and all the time because I couldn't move or I couldn't do things that other people could do. I looked like Forrest Gump, if you guys have an image. I had the leg braces on. When I was 12, I was actually diagnosed with a rare degenerative neurological disorder. It causes muscle wasting and nerve death. Every year I get weaker and like my pain gets worse. So that's great. There's no cure or treatment. When I was 16, I actually had to get emergency surgery, causing severe bone and nerve damage that I actually never recovered from. At this time, I also lost my uncle to a car accident and my grandma to cancer. The reason I'm saying this is I don't want sympathy. I just want you guys to understand that our lives are not determined by our circumstances, but our choices. I am happy today because every day I wake up and I choose to be happy, and that's the truth. Think back to M1 year IPE. I know all of you remember this beast on stage got $100 for free. That went directly to loans, so it kind of sucks, but it's okay. But I didn't get that $100 because the guy gave it to me, but because I chose to ask for it. So today, as you guys sit here, I want you to know that you are not here because you got lucky or the school of residency made a mistake. No, that's whack. You're all here because you all chose to be here to accomplish everything you have and to be physicians here at the University of Toledo, the greatest place in the world, right? So. So as you all go on to continue being amazing doctors, as you already are, we all got the hood. I did too. So I want you to remember these things. These are a couple key points. So what you're facing is new, maybe scary, super cool, I mean, let's be honest, but also potentially horrifying. This is all guesses. I've never been to residency yet, so this is all it's estimates. But and there's loans now. I mean, are you joking? Like, you're lying. There's no way. Sometimes you may feel weak or you can't do it, but if this happens, I want you to choose to be brave. Be strong. I know you all already are, so just continue to do that. What you're facing is long. I mean, some of you, like Ben and Vito here, will be in residency for 7 years, and some more maybe. That's a long time, and that's longer than med school. So it's easy to get distracted by the technicalities of passing your boards, the stress of the job, and the pressure. But I've seen you guys laugh and love medicine, enjoy learning and having fun with each other while also becoming amazing doctors. So if you ever find yourself straying away, choose to stay passionate and continue to love what you do. Finally, I mean, life is hard. Life tends to hit us at times we can't predict. Knocking us down, beating us up. It's like the Rocky movies, if you guys, it's an old movie. Some of you might not have seen it, but it's a good movie. Things happen, sometimes things that are completely out of the control. So it's easy to look at these things and, feel sad or depressed or hopeless. But despite this, I want you all to promise me to choose to be happy. Be happy and just stay positive. You guys have accomplished one of the greatest things in the universe. You are doctors. So today and in the future, I want you to hold that close to your heart and feel that joy in full. Fully embrace it because you deserve it. For me, I mean, med school has been the best 4 years of my life, by far. And that's because of two things: Cedar Point and all of you guys. Cedar Point's a close foot, but you guys are up there. Every day was such a delight. I mean, every second I loved. It was so valuable. It didn't matter what we were doing. I was just so happy being around all of you. Together, we were like the Scooby-Doo gang. I mean, come on. Each of you have done so much through these years, whether it's volunteering, research, your rotations, mentorship. I mean, everything you've accomplished is amazing. I'm so honored to be part of this group of people we call Class of 2026. It's amazing. I can't thank you guys enough for being so kind, fun, loving, and truly like the best people I have ever known. Today is bittersweet. It is the last time we will all be together like this. But I want you to all look around, left, right, back, forth, up, down, everywhere. And remember these good memories and experiences we had, because I want you to cherish them forever in your heart. Because no matter where we go, this will always be a part of us and in our memory. Now, to end, I will say a quote that I think sums this up perfectly. It's from an old, highly esteemed philosopher. This guy is insane, very legend. Winnie the Pooh. If ever there is a tomorrow where we're not together, you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. But most important thing is, even if we're apart, I will always be with you. After all, how lucky am I to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. Thank you guys so much, and I love you guys.
Wow. Hard to top that. So, graduates, today, it is your day as final day of a medical student and the first of a very promising career as a healer, scientist, educator, and a physician. Today we celebrate your accomplishments and opportunities for a bright future. Congratulations and my sincerest wishes for continued success in your life journey. Congratulations and thanks to the graduate families, loved ones, teachers, and mentors who are here and who are not here. That concludes today's ceremony. We ask that the graduates, class holders, faculty, and audience remain in your seat until the platform party has recessed out of the arena. As they recess, the platform party will stop to join the students on the floor for a group photo. Once the platform party stops, students please stand and face the stage for the photo. Thank you, and I'll end this with a selfie that I would like to take as well.